Ladies and gentlemen, Tafara Williams, who was also shot by the police and survived, is still in the hospital. And Marcellus Stinnett, her boyfriend, was killed, murdered by the police. Well, she gave an account that was very different from the cops. And we know how it is in America. The body cam and the dash cam will show you one thing, and a cop will go and almost write a fairy tale in the police report because it doesn't match anything. Okay. And we have seen that multiple times. So this is CNN, October 27th, 2020. The girlfriend of Marcellus Stinnett, who survived the shooting that killed 19-year-old in Waukegan, Illinois last week, told reporters Tuesday that the police harassed her and Stinnett before opening fire without warning after she drove away. So she encountered these cops, at least one of the police officers. And she said the cop was literally harassing them. So, following the shooting, she said the police took her away and threw a blanket over Stinnett while he was still breathing. And remember, they said it was a suspicious. They looked suspicious. They were just parked in a car talking, and some cop came along and decided they looked suspicious and started messing with them. So they drove away, and the cop caught up to them. They parked elsewhere, and that's where things escalated and they got shot. And, on the police report, it made it seem like, oh, they look suspicious and they drove away. You know, boy, when does it ever end, y'all? Seriously. She said when they threw the blanket over him, he was still alive, the 20-year-old mother of two said. She and Stinnett have a 7-month-old son together. Tafara Williams spoke from her hospital bed where she is recovering from undisclosed injuries, unable to hold back tears. Someone off camera consoled her, rubbing her arm and shoulder as she spoke via video conference to reporters gathered with her family outside City Hall. Family members described Williams' strength and Stinnett's gentle soul. Before Williams' mother, Tina Johnson, took to the podium, declared, if America doesn't stop this disease of violence, this could be anyone's child. When does it end, America? Family attorney Ben Crump asks. Now, somebody came in my comment section say I was wrong for saying what I did about Ben Crump and we need him and he fights the cop. No, Ben Crump is not that kind of attorney. Maybe you should do your research on what kind of an attorney Ben Crump is before you come in my comment section and write everything that's completely wrong. This man don't fight the cops. He is there, he's like your wrongful death type attorney, but he doesn't actually take on and fight the cops at all. Do your research. All right, so how many more Black people have to be killed because of police brutality, excessive force, implicit bias, systemic racism, deliberate indifference? How many more times, America? How many more times do we have to tell our children that this isn't right? Now, the prosecutor, ladies and gentlemen, are promising to release everything. So, the body cam or any dash cam videos, they're going to release everything. The officer who killed Stinnett was placed on administrative leave before being fired. Waukegan police chief said, this is Wayne Wallace, is, so he said the officer was fired for violating multiple procedures and policy violations. Now, here's where I don't like this. Now, the relatives applauded the officer's firing. No, you don't ever applaud an officer's firing, especially in a murder. All right. He's fired, which means he is open to cross county lines, cross over into the next town and get hired. There is nothing stopping him from getting hired someone else. You only applaud if this officer is arrested and charged. And then, even then, you don't want to applaud too much because you want that conviction. That's what you really want. So, no, I don't feel the family on applauding because the officer was fired for murdering somebody. Look, if me or you went out there and killed someone, we know we're going to jail. We're not going to just lose our jobs and that's it. And that should not be the case when it comes down to police shooting unarmed people that were of no threat to them. So they just saw these two parked in a car talking and decided to walk over and start some garbage with these two. That's really how I'm taking it. They really were minding their business, just being a young couple. I mean, you know what it's like to date somebody. Sometimes y'all sit in a car together and you talk and spend time together. And they are turning it into something ugly where two black young people can't do this and just enjoy each other's company. It's got to always be some suspicious stuff going on. Oh boy. And this is just another example of them just don't have the ability to mind their own business. They just can't do it. So they would continue to press for justice in the case that has roiled the Chicago suburb of 86,000 people. State police are conducting an investigation, which include the review of body cams and dash cam videos before handing over their findings to Lake County State's Attorney Michael Nurheim, whose office will decide whether to pursue charges. And just understand, all of these state attorneys and police, they're all on the same side. They really are. Nurheim has pledged to make the investigative file public if he does not file criminal charges. Okay, so it can only be public if he decides not to file criminal charges. Yeah, that's very American. Last week, issuing another statement from her hospital bed, Williams directly addressed the police involved. "I didn't do nothing wrong," Williams said in a video obtained by CNN affiliate WLS. "I have a license. You didn't tell me I was under arrest. Why did you just flame up my car like that? Why did you shoot?" So she was very tearful during this video conference that she had with the press. Police have accused Williams of fleeing after an officer approached what he thought was a suspicious vehicle. Yeah, you know, in America, you're only suspicious when you're black. Black means suspicious. And reversing towards another officer who exited his car after pulling her over about a half a mile away. The officer opened fire in fear of his safety. Authorities said he wasn't in fear, no damn safety. He just saw an opportunity to shoot at two young people that happened to be black. Williams told a very different story from her hospital bed. She had just put her two babies to bed and gone outside to smoke, she said. She was in the driver's seat of the car, and Stanette was in the passenger seat when an officer pulled up with no lights, no sirens, she said. "I rolled down my window and turned on all lights inside the car so the officer could see I had no weapons and I wasn't doing anything illegal. Williams said. The officer referred to Stinnett by name, and after confirming Williams' name, she told Marsalis she was Marsalis' baby's mother before harassing them. So this officer came up, they put the window down, at least she did. She was on the driver's side, and they were talking to him, and he started harassing them. And you know what? Because I have witnessed policing in America, I believe her. I believe her. Look, I just showed you a video the other day where a police signaled Chris Kelly to cross the street in Iowa City. And as soon as he crossed the street, he jumped out screaming he jaywalked after signaling him to go ahead and cross the street. So we know what policing is like in America. And I believe her. I believe the cop did harass them. He stood near the car with his left hand on his gun and said to Marsalis, "I know you from jail," Williams said. So what? Even if you did, he wasn't doing nothing illegal by sitting in the passenger seat of his girlfriend's car and them sitting there and having a conversation. What they were doing was not criminal. I don't care what past he had. He wasn't doing anything at that moment when you approached. And see, that's how these people are. They will use a criminal record to justify harming a person when it's not justifiable at all. If that person is minding their own business, they're not committing a crime at the time the police is approaching them, then no, the cop is wrong. He's wrong. Okay. So she asked if they were free to leave. And when the officer took a few steps away from the car, she drove away slowly, she said. The officer then turned on his lights. The officer didn't turn on his lights, nor did he follow them, she said. "We don't want to die." After turning onto another street, Williams said, "There was a crash and I lost control. The officer was shooting at us. The car ended up slamming into a building. I kept screaming. I don't have a gun," she said, sobbing uncontrollably. But he kept shooting and told me to get out of the car. She couldn't move because of her injuries from the gunfire, she said. She kept asking, why was he shooting? More officers arrived, trained their weapons on the car, she said. My blood was gushing out of my body, and the officers started yelling, she said. They wouldn't give us an ambulance until we got out of the car. What? What? Okay, maybe she was injured, and I believe her. She was so injured from the gunfire, she couldn't move. And if Stinnett is practically dead in the passenger seat, how could he get out the car? That was stupid. What a dumb request. Some of these people need to go find another profession. Too dumb to be a cop. When I moved, blood seemed to pour out of my body on the floor of the car, on the ground, everywhere. She could hear Stinnett breathing, and she pleaded with the cops, please don't shoot. I have a baby. We have a baby. We don't want to die, she said. The officer dragged her away from Stinnett, she said, and she begged the officer to tend to her boyfriend first. They ignored me. They laid Marsalis on the ground and covered him with a blanket while he was still breathing. So they covered up his entire body, y'all, on the ground like he was dead, and he was actually still bleeding. But see, that goes back to us saying, and we have said, several Black YouTubers have said this, they want you to bleed out. They don't want you to live. So you can sit there and tell your story of what happened. So Stinnett was still alive. They covered him up for dead. They didn't get an ambulance. They wanted him to bleed out and not survive. We saw this with Mike Brown and a whole host of other people. You don't want these people to live. It's so obvious. I mean, and still playing us for a fool. Wow. Police said Stinnett died after being transported to the hospital. Wow. Protesters, along with Stinnett and Williams' families, have casted doubt on the police narrative and demanded the U.S. Justice Department take over the investigation. William Barr is not going to help Black people. And I don't mean no harm. That man ain't going to lift a finger. He's been in that position for 4 years. In those 4 years, there have been a lot of police shootings of Black people in America. And you hear how he talks to us. Okay. And he's made very questionable comments towards Black people. William Barr is not going to lift the finger on the behalf of the Black community over any of these shootings. He's not going to do it. Waukegan Police Commander Edgar Navarro has not provided many details, but said Williams was driving in the direction of a Waukegan police officer when he opened fire. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. But you know, the if they happen to release the body cam, we shall see. But I don't believe the police account of what happened. I believe Tafara Williams, and like I said, the police report will not match what's on the body cam. I promise you, it won't. It never does. It never does. It's almost like they like I said, you know, the body cam will show you one thing and then they go off with the police report and write up some fairy tale that never happened. That's how it's done here. But y'all, please tell me what you think. My condolences to Stinnett's family, and I sure hope Tafara Williams has a speedy recovery. She's still got 2 babies to raise. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.